What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Nano 10 PR and the ReeCycled Nano 10. Okay, so the Nano 10s are one of my favorite pairs of training shoes, but they have one glaring flaw, and that's that they are really heavy training shoes. So typically the normal Nano 10 is about 14 ounces. They can be anywhere from like 14 to about 14.3 ounces. Just kind of depends on the colorway and the build. That's for a men's size 10. That's what I do all my measuring in at. And that's not ideal for certain things like burpees, double unders, plyometric movements. Running is god-awful, in my opinion, to do in Nano 10s. So I'm always looking for a lighter option. And Reebok came out with the Nano 10 PRs as a solution to the issue that the Nano 10s are just a little too heavy, which kind of makes me think that they already knew that people were gonna think it was a heavy shoe in the first place, so they made the Nano 10 PR. The problem about this shoe, the Nano 10 PR, is that it doesn't actually weigh any less, and actually weighs more than some of my normal Nano 10s. It's not a lot more. It's pretty much like identical to some of my shoes. Like my Black & Gums weighed in at like 14.28. These weighed in at 14.28 or 29 or something like that. So they're right around the normal weight of a Nano 10, but still, they shouldn't be billing these with lightweight materials, taking things out of them, and have them weigh the exact same as like a normal Nano 10. They also cost more than your standard Nano 10. These ones retail for $140, which is a slight premium over the normal Nano 10. Some of the materials on the Nano 10 PR are also a little bit different, so we're gonna go over some of that stuff and some of the changes that they made to this shoe. So first off, the upper material does not have the flex weave, and I think that is not a good thing, because the stretch flex weave was one of the key features of the Nano 10. It's one of the things that I really liked about the Nano 10 because it made the shoe fit really well. The Nano 10 PRs don't necessarily fit quite as close to skin as the normal Nano 10s do. They fit a little bit wider in the toe box, but the length is about the same. The material is not as flexible, obviously, as the flex weave stretch, but it's still pretty comfortable, and the shoe overall is pretty flexible. One thing that you will notice about this shoe is that it is also stiffer than a normal Nano 10. The base of this shoe, for whatever reason, the midsole, it just isn't as flexible. It's not as soft, definitely not as soft as the normal Nano 10, at least in my testing. But otherwise, the overlays are pretty much the same. You still have this like outside lateral overlay. The Reebok logo is like printed on overlay. And then you have the overlays around all of the lacing holes. And then you have that same kind of PU material at the back part for like the counter. The tongue on this shoe is a like ripstop material, and it feels a little bit less cushioned. It feels like there's not as much padding inside of the tongue, which never really bothered me, but it doesn't stay as well as the normal Nano 10's tongue. The laces on this are also a rope lace, which are nice to look at, but then when putting the shoes on, it makes them harder to slip the shoes on for me, so I also don't care too much for that. The padding around the ankle collar has been lessened in this shoe, so if you didn't like the bulkiness of the ankle collar and the original Nano 10, you might actually like the PRs because they don't have as much padding and cushioning in that area. I believe one of the other things they took out was like the midsole cushioning as well, so that's why it does feel a little bit more stiff and maybe not as flexible as the original Nano 10s. I've been wearing these pretty much like non-stop for the last week and a half, so they've got to be broken in by now, and they're still pretty stiff. The outsole, pretty much the same thing. There's really no differences there. The heel carrier, the TPU heel carrier, has a like silver glitter to it, which I thought looked weird in pictures, but in person, I actually think that this Nano colorway is the best one yet. It's a really, really sharp and clean looking shoe. It's really photogenic. When I take pictures of it, it almost kind of like glows. But obviously, it's a white shoe. It's gonna get dirty. There's no way around it. This shoe is just gonna get dirty. So just avoid, certain things. Don't row in it. Don't do rope climbs. Trying to not do so many burpees or change your foot position when you do burpees. But it is a white shoe. You have to know that going into it, that it's not gonna stay clean. There's also a change to like the mesh material. It's not quite as breathable, or it doesn't feel like it would be quite as breathable. I honestly haven't noticed any kind of difference as far as breathability in this shoe goes. It's still pretty comfortable in that aspect, even though the material is not as like porous as the Flex Stretch Weave is. It still breathes pretty well. My feet never really get hot wearing this shoe. So overall, this is the Nano 10 PR, and it weighs in at 14.3 ounces. We're just gonna round up 14.3 ounces. So that's heavier than a normal Nano 10. My like gray and gum Nano 10s were like 14 ounces, like on the dot, and these ones, a little bit heavier. So I don't like the fact that nobody like weighed these before they came up with the marketing for it. I think that's kind of silly. As a shoe, it's a Nano 10. I think it's still a good shoe. It's still a good training shoe. It's very stable. Like I said, since this one does not have the stretch flex weave, there's a little bit more room, or it feels like there's a little bit more width in the toe box, or space in the toe box. So if you didn't like that about the original Nano 10s, you might actually prefer the Nano 10 PRs because they have just that extra space there. As far as sizing goes, I would just go with your normal Nano 10 size. The length has been pretty spot on for me. Actually, it feels a little bit tighter as far as the length goes because there's no stretch there. But otherwise, this is the Nano 10 PR, and it is heavier than your standard Nano 10s. It's not a bad shoe. It's just, I objectively think that this is the worst Nano 10 because it costs more. It doesn't have the fit of the Nano 10s. It's heavier. It does look better. I do like the colorway of this shoe, but objectively, I think that this is the worst Nano 10. So, one that I have been wearing, and this one's actually my favorite Nano 10, is the ReeCycled versions. And the reason why I like these ones is because they're actually lighter than any of the other ones. These ones clocked in for a men's size 10 at just over 13 ounces. So it's like 13.12 ounces, men's size 10. And the difference is noticeable. You pick these shoes up and you're gonna feel like, if you're used to wearing Nano 10s, you're gonna feel like these are the lighter option. Compared to Nano 9s, obviously these are going to feel a little bit heavier, but otherwise compared to the other Nano 10s, these ones are a little bit lighter. So this shoe is made out of recycled materials, so I don't actually know exactly what parts of this shoe are made out of recycled material, so I'm just going to go through the list of things that Reebok has. So eucalyptus bark for the upper, castor bean oil for the midsole, great energy return. I don't know if they use that in this shoe, but I know they use that in the float rides. Bloom algae for the insole, natural rubber for the outsole, and then recycled polyester, and that's probably like bits and pieces, maybe the shoelaces, maybe some parts of the upper. But this one is my favorite Nano 10. I really like it. The colorway is not for everybody, but I initially didn't like it when I saw pictures, but when I got it in person, also, there was some kind of discrepancy with the online description with these shoes, or the pictures, and the actual colorway that they were sending out. There was no yellow vector, it was actually just blue. But the way that they picked the colorway is it's the bright, vibrant colors from nature. But otherwise, I think that all of the colors go together pretty nicely. There are some differences in the material, obviously, with this shoe as well. The toe box is kind of just like a normal mesh material, but I thought it fit really well. It's comfortable, it's breathable. I've never had any issues with it. It fits better than the Nano 10 PRs for me. Then you also have their same kind of overlays that are around the lateral parts of the shoe, around the laces. The vector is just kind of like printed on there. I guess it's kind of like an overlay. And then there's like a mesh material, pretty similar to the normal Nano 10. This shoe, has a different feeling midsole. It doesn't feel as cushioned as the normal Nano 10, but it doesn't feel as stiff as the Nano 10 PRs either. So it's kind of somewhere in between. The shoe has a little bit more flex to it than the Nano 10 PRs, but I still don't think that this one is quite as flexible as the normal Nano 10s are. The heel counter is still the same. It's in blue. It's got a green Reebok logo there, and then the Nano 10 at the back has like a gradient to it. And the heel on the shoe looks really cool because the midsole is yellow. The TPU color is blue, and it gives it like a blue and then a green shade and then, you know, kind of like a yellow shade. The outsole on this shoe has like a speckle to it as well, and I don't know if that's because it's a recycled material. I'm just gonna assume so. So it does feel a little bit different, but grip has been excellent. The outsole design has also been very good. If I'm picking a Nano 10 to wear, it's usually gonna be this one, just because of the weight savings. Oh, the tongue is also a different material. It's like the same kind of mesh material that's on the toe box here. It still has a little bit of cushioning. Once again, I don't think it feels like it has the same kind of cushioning that the normal Nano 10 does, but it's not bad. It stays in place as well. And then the insole on this kind of has that recycled detail to it. And yeah, that's about it. These ones fit pretty true to size as well. I would just go with your normal shoe size. And this, like I said, is going to be my option when I'm doing any kind of plyometrics based movements, doing any kind of running, and I wanted the stability of a Nano 10 because these are still very stable shoes, despite being a little bit lighter than your normal Nano 10s. A lot of people ask me, can you really feel the difference between like 13 ounces, 14 ounces, 12 ounces, and yeah, it depends on the movement. You're not really gonna notice the difference when you're doing any kind of lifting. Not until you get to around maybe 10, 11 ounces, then you start to notice some differences in stability. But otherwise, like 12 to 14, 15 ounces for stability doesn't really make too much of a difference, but you will notice the difference when you're doing like any kind of running, repeated bounding, jump roping, or any kind of agility work. The shoes just feel heavier and bulkier, and the Nano 10s, I mean, the silhouette is just bulky to begin with. So I'm trying to save as much weight as I possibly can. If you are too, then I would say go with the recycled Nano 10s. These ones are the lightest option as far as Nano 10s goes. The marketing is off on the Nano 10 PRs, but like I said, if you like a Nano 10 and you don't mind the weight, the colorway is dope, man. These ones are clean if you can keep them clean. It's not that hard to clean them. I do usually take some laundry detergent if I needed to spot clean it, put it on a rag, get it wet, and then just kind of go over it and then go over it again with water, and you know, stains come out pretty easily. Or I just toss them in the washing machine, wash it on cold, leave it out to dry. Absolutely no issues with any of my shoes. I do all of my shoes like that. But that's it for this video, guys. Oh, the Nano 10 recycled go for $130. Not anything more than your normal Nano 10s. So if you guys have any questions about either of these Nano 10s, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.